Hey everyone, and thank you for being here today. I want to talk about something that has the power to change not only how you see the world, but also how you see yourself. In a world filled with constant noise, opinions, and comparisons, it's easy to lose sight of your own path. But there's something incredible that happens when you shift your focus inward. When you stop worrying about others and start investing in yourself, your mind grows stronger, your confidence deepens, and you become unstoppable. So today, let's explore why the more you focus on yourself, the stronger your mind becomes. Most people are distracted by comparison. It's almost second nature. Everywhere you turn, there's something to measure yourself against. The car your neighbor drives, the vacation your coworker just took, the flawless photos people post online. It's like an endless loop of look at them and why not me? And the more you scroll, watch, and compare, the deeper you sink into that trap. But here's the thing. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to lose yourself. When your eyes are constantly fixed on someone else's path, you forget to walk your own. You start to believe that your worth is tied to how you measure up. Suddenly, your accomplishments don't feel as impressive. Your happiness doesn't seem as valid. And that spark you once had, it dims under the weight of trying to keep up. It's no surprise why it happens. We live in a world that glorifies highlight reels. People post their best moments, the wins, the milestones, the laughter, but rarely the struggle it took to get there. You don't see the failures, the late nights, the doubts that gnaw away at their confidence, yet you compare your reality to their polished illusion. It's like measuring the strength of a tree by only looking at its leaves, never seeing the roots that grew beneath the surface. And it's not just social media, it happens in conversations, in workplaces, in families. Someone gets promoted and you question your own abilities. A friend announces their engagement and suddenly your single life feels empty. Every achievement around you becomes a reflection of what you lack. It's exhausting, because no matter how much you achieve, there will always be someone who seems to be doing better, living louder, or shining brighter. But the real danger isn't in seeing what others have. It's in believing that what they have somehow diminishes your own worth. You might think, if they're successful, I must be falling behind. Or if they're happy, maybe I'm missing out. And that belief, it's a heavy burden to carry. It turns joy into jealousy and gratitude into resentment. Yet the truth is simple. No one else's journey can define yours. The path they're on was never meant to be yours. You have your own timeline, your own lessons, your own victories waiting to unfold. But you'll miss them if you're too busy watching everyone else. When you step away from comparison, something powerful happens. You start to hear your own voice again. You notice the things that truly matter to you, not the things you were told should matter. Your goals become clearer. Your mind grows stronger. And instead of chasing a version of success shaped by others, you start building one that's uniquely yours. It's not always easy. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when you question if you're enough. But in those moments, remember this. The only person you should compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. That's where your power is. Growth doesn't come from outdoing others. It comes from outgrowing your own fears, insecurities, and limitations. So the next time you catch yourself scrolling, wishing, comparing, pause. Ask yourself, am I proud of who I'm becoming? If the answer is no, then that's your focus. Not them, not what they have, but you. Because when you shift your gaze inward, the world around you loses its grip. You start to celebrate others without questioning your own worth. You find happiness in progress, not perfection. And piece by piece, your mind becomes unbreakable, and that's when you know you're truly free. Focusing on yourself is one of the most powerful things you can do. In a world full of distractions, opinions, and endless comparisons, it's easy to lose sight of who you are. But when you step away from the noise and turn your attention inward, something remarkable happens. Your mind starts to strengthen in ways you may have never experienced before. The constant barrage of external influences can cloud your judgment. People will always have something to say about what you should do, how you should live, and who you should become. And if you're not careful, their voices can become louder than your own. But when you deliberately choose to ignore the chatter, you give yourself the space to listen to what truly matters. Your instincts. Your instincts are like a compass, guiding you through the uncertainties of life. They're not loud or demanding. They're subtle, often drowned out by the world's opinions. But the more you practice tuning into them, the stronger they become. You start to recognize what feels right and what doesn't. You make decisions with confidence, not because someone else approves, but because you trust yourself. And that kind of trust, it's a form of power that no one can take from you. When you focus on yourself, your vision becomes clearer. You begin to see beyond the distractions and temporary desires that once consumed your thoughts, and instead of chasing goals that were never truly yours, you find purpose in what genuinely fulfills you. It's like wiping a fogged-up mirror and finally seeing your reflection. Your true self, not the version distorted by others' expectations. Every step forward feels intentional, every choice aligned with what matters to you. And then there's confidence, not the fleeting kind that relies on praise or validation, but the kind that comes from knowing yourself deeply. Confidence grows when you keep the promises you make to yourself. It's built in the quiet moments when you choose discipline over comfort, when you face your fears instead of avoiding them. Each time you prove to yourself that you're capable, your mind strengthens a little more. But this kind of self-focus isn't about isolation or shutting people out. It's about creating boundaries that protect your peace and energy. It's understanding that not every opinion deserves your attention and not every invitation deserves your presence. The stronger your mind becomes, the more selective you are about what you allow to influence you. You stop reacting to every negative comment or setback because you're no longer dependent on external approval. There's freedom in that. Imagine walking into any room knowing that you don't have to prove your worth to anyone. You're not seeking validation because you already carry it within you. That's what happens when you prioritize yourself. Your mind becomes resilient, no longer shaken by criticism or rejection. You learn to see failure not as a reflection of your value, but as a lesson, a necessary step on your journey. And with this newfound strength, your perspective on others changes too. You're no longer threatened by someone else's success because you understand that their path has nothing to do with yours. Jealousy fades, comparison loses its grip. You can celebrate others without questioning your own progress because you know that your growth is inevitable as long as you stay committed to yourself. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It requires patience, self-awareness, and a willingness to let go of the need for constant validation. There will be days when the noise feels overwhelming, when doubts creep in and tempt you to look outward for reassurance. But each time you choose to refocus, you're reinforcing the strength of your mind. And the stronger your mind becomes, the less the world's noise can influence you. You become grounded in your own truth, unshaken by opinions and unaffected by temporary setbacks. It's not arrogance, it's self-mastery, a calm, steady confidence that carries you through whatever life throws your way. So as you continue forward, remember that the most powerful thing you can do is turn your focus inward. Trust your instincts, sharpen your vision, build your confidence from within, and watch how your mind becomes unbreakable. Growth begins the moment you stop chasing validation. For so long, many of us are conditioned to seek approval from others, parents, friends, colleagues, even strangers online. It feels good to be praised, to be noticed, to be told we're doing well. But when your self-worth depends on applause, it becomes a fragile thing. It rises and falls based on how others perceive you. And the truth is, no matter how much validation you receive, it's never enough. There's always a louder voice, a harsher critic, or a higher standard to meet. When you live for external approval, your choices are no longer your own. You start doing things not because they align with your values or goals, but because they might earn you recognition. You overthink every decision, wondering how it will be perceived. Even your victories feel hollow when they're achieved solely for the validation they bring. And the worst part? You lose sight of who you truly are. But growth, real, lasting growth, doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the quiet moments when no one is watching. It happens when you commit to your goals without needing applause to keep you going. True power comes when you measure progress by how far you've come, not by how many people are cheering you on. It's about learning to be proud of yourself even when no one else is clapping. When you stop chasing validation, you start making decisions from a place of authenticity. You're no longer swayed by what others expect from you. Instead, you ask yourself what feels right, what challenges you, and what brings you closer to the person you want to become. It's liberating to realize that you don't need approval to validate your existence. Your growth is valid simply because it's yours. And growth isn't always glamorous. It's not about the picture-perfect moments you can post for others to admire. It's the struggle of pushing through self-doubt, the resilience to stand back up after a setback, and the courage to keep going even when no one is applauding. These moments may not earn you praise, but they are the ones that build your character. There's also something deeply powerful about being your own source of validation. When you learn to acknowledge your progress without needing external affirmation, you become unstoppable. No longer are you held captive by the opinions of others. Criticism doesn't shake you, and praise doesn't define you. You take both in stride, knowing that neither determines your worth. That kind of inner strength is rare, but it's something anyone can build if they're willing to let go of the need to be liked. Of course, breaking free from validation seeking isn't easy. We've been conditioned to crave approval from a young age, but every time you choose to validate yourself instead of seeking it from others, you weaken that dependency. You learn to celebrate your own progress, even if no one else acknowledges it. You become your own source of motivation, driven by your commitment to growth rather than external recognition. And what's even more empowering is that when you stop seeking validation, your confidence becomes unshakable. Confidence that's built on internal progress is far more resilient than the kind that comes from applause. It's not conditional, it doesn't fade when people stop noticing you. Instead, it grows stronger because it's rooted in the truth of your own experience. People may not always see the work you're doing. They may not understand the sacrifices you've made or the obstacles you've overcome, but that's okay. Their recognition is not the reward. The reward is knowing you're evolving, becoming wiser, stronger, and more aligned with your authentic self. Every small victory, the discipline to keep going, the courage to step out of your comfort zone, the resilience to rise after a failure, is a testament to your growth. So let go of the need to be validated, let go of the constant craving for approval, start recognizing your progress for what it is, undeniable evidence of your growth. The world's applause will never compare to the power that comes from standing tall, knowing you've built yourself from the inside out. And once you embrace that, you'll realize that the only validation you ever needed was your own. Your only competition is your past self. It's a simple truth, yet one that often gets lost in the noise of comparison. From a young age, we're taught to measure our progress against others. Who's faster, smarter, more successful? Who's winning and who's falling behind? It becomes a cycle. Constantly looking over your shoulder to see how you stack up. But real strength isn't found in beating someone else. It's found in becoming a better version of who you were yesterday. When you focus on outdoing others, your sense of worth becomes tied to their success or failure. If someone else excels, you feel inadequate. If they stumble, you may feel a fleeting sense of superiority. But in both cases, you're giving away your power, your happiness, your confidence, your sense of fulfillment. All of it is determined by something you... And the truth is, no matter how much you achieve, there will always be someone doing more, achieving faster, or shining brighter. The chase never ends, but when you shift your focus inward, everything changes. Competing with your past self means recognizing that your only true benchmark is your own progress. It's about asking yourself, am I stronger than I was yesterday? Have I grown? Have I learned something new? Those are the questions that build resilience. They push you to be accountable not to the opinions of others, but to your own potential. There's a certain freedom in knowing that your worth isn't measured by external standards. You're not in a race against anyone else. Your path is entirely your own, with its own timeline, challenges, and victories. What others are doing becomes irrelevant when you're committed to your own growth. You stop resenting their success because you understand that it doesn't take away from yours. In fact, seeing others thrive can become a source of inspiration rather than intimidation. And growth isn't always dramatic. Some days progress looks like breaking an old habit. Other days it's simply getting out of bed when everything in you wanted to stay down. Every small victory matters. The decision to try again after failing, the patience to learn instead of quitting, the willingness to face discomfort in pursuit of something greater. That's strength. Not the kind that demands recognition, but the quiet, unwavering kind that builds character. It's also important to remember that growth is not linear. There will be days when it feels like you're moving backward, moments when you question whether you've made any progress at all. But even in those times, the fact that you're still showing up, still choosing to move forward, that's growth in itself. Comparing yourself to your past self means acknowledging the setbacks as part of the journey. You're not weaker because you stumbled, you're stronger because you chose to get back up. And the beauty of this mindset is that it cultivates lasting confidence. When your self-worth is rooted in your own progress, No one can take it away from you. Praise doesn't inflate your ego, and criticism doesn't shatter your spirit. You become grounded in the knowledge of who you are and how far you've come. You no longer seek validation because you've already validated yourself. That kind of confidence isn't loud or boastful. It's steady, it's resilient, it's unshakable. Focusing on your past self also fosters patience. In a world that glorifies quick results, it's easy to feel discouraged when growth takes time. But when you view yourself as your only competition, you understand that lasting change is built through consistent effort. You stop rushing. You learn to appreciate the process, the lessons, the setbacks, the quiet moments of progress no one else sees. And eventually you realize that the journey itself is just as valuable as the destination. So let go of the need to outshine others. Let go of the pressure to prove yourself to people who will never understand your path. The only person you're responsible for surpassing is the one you were yesterday. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. And with each passing day, as you continue to grow, you come to understand that true strength was never about being better than anyone else. It was about becoming the best version of yourself. People will always have opinions. It's inevitable. No matter what you do, how hard you try, or how much you accomplish, there will always be someone with something to say. Some will praise you, others will criticize you, and many will offer unsolicited advice. But the truth is, their opinions are often a reflection of their own experiences, fears, or insecurities, not a reflection of your worth. The moment you realize this, you free yourself from the exhausting need to please everyone. And that's when your mind begins to grow stronger. A strong mind isn't built by avoiding criticism, it's built by learning how to face it without letting it define you. When someone questions your choices or doubts your abilities, your instinct might be to defend yourself or seek their approval. But true strength lies in understanding that you don't have to justify your path to anyone. Not everyone will understand your vision, and that's okay. What matters is that you understand it. Doubt from others can be loud, but it's often nothing compared to the doubt that creeps in from within. Sometimes the harshest critic you'll ever face is yourself. You might replay negative comments in your mind, convincing yourself they must be true. But even those moments are an opportunity to grow. A strong mind doesn't silence every negative thought. It simply refuses to let those thoughts dictate its actions. You learn to separate constructive feedback from baseless criticism. You extract what serves you and discard what doesn't. And it's important to remember that people's opinions are fleeting. Today, they may criticize your choices. Tomorrow, they might celebrate your success. But if your sense of worth is tied to the ever-changing opinions of others, you'll find yourself on a constant roller coaster of validation and disappointment. A strong mind remains steady. It recognizes that praise and criticism are both temporary and neither defines your value. It's also worth acknowledging that sometimes criticism comes from people who mean well. Friends, family, or mentors may question your decisions because they fear for your well-being. While their intentions may be good, their perspective is limited by their own experiences. But only you know what truly drives you. Only you understand the sacrifices you're willing to make and the dreams you refuse to let go of. A strong mind listens respectfully, but ultimately trusts its own judgment. There will also be times when criticism stings, no matter how resilient you are. That's part of being human. But rather than letting it consume you, you can use it as fuel. Every remark, every doubt, every dismissal, they can either break you or build you. And when you decide to rise despite the noise, you prove to yourself just how powerful you are. Every time you keep going in the face of doubt, your mind grows stronger. And don't be mistaken, having a strong mind doesn't mean you become immune to feelings. It means you develop the awareness to recognize when external opinions are trying to shake you. You acknowledge the discomfort, but you don't let it steer you off course. You stand firm in your purpose, knowing that no one else can see the path you're walking as clearly as you can. At the end of the day, the people who criticize you are not the ones who have to live with your choices. You are. You're the one who has to wake up every morning and stand by the decisions you've made. You're the one who will feel the pride of pushing through when others said you couldn't, and you're the one who will experience the satisfaction of knowing that you stayed true to yourself, no matter what. So let them have their opinions. Let them doubt you. Let them misunderstand you. because when your mind is strong, none of it will shake you. You'll keep moving forward, not for their approval, but because you know who you are, and that unshakable self-belief, that's what makes you unstoppable. Self-focus leads to true power. It's not selfish to prioritize yourself. It's necessary. In a world that constantly demands your attention, it's easy to get lost in the noise. People pull you in different directions, responsibilities pile up, and before you know it, you've placed yourself at the bottom of your own list. But when you shift that focus inward and start investing in yourself, something remarkable happens. You begin to tap into a power that no one else can give you, the kind of strength that makes you truly unstoppable. Investing in yourself means recognizing your worth and acting on it. It's not just about treating yourself to occasional luxuries or moments of self-care. It's about making deliberate choices that contribute to your growth, your health, and your well-being. Whether it's dedicating time to learn a new skill, setting boundaries to protect your mental space, or committing to habits that enhance your physical strength, every investment adds up. Each step you take builds resilience and sharpens your mind. When you focus on yourself, clarity replaces confusion. You stop seeking validation from others because you no longer need it. Instead of wondering what others think or worrying about how you're perceived, you become grounded in your own purpose. Your goals become clearer, and your actions become more intentional. You no longer waste energy comparing yourself to others because their path has nothing to do with yours. Every ounce of energy you once spent trying to fit in or meet unrealistic expectations is now directed toward your growth. This self-investment also strengthens your mindset. The more you work on yourself, the more you realize your own resilience. Challenges that once seemed insurmountable become opportunities to grow. Failure no longer defines you, it refines you. Each setback becomes a lesson, and every struggle adds to your wisdom. A strong mind doesn't mean avoiding obstacles, it means knowing you have what it takes to overcome them. That unwavering belief in yourself is what makes you unstoppable, and as your confidence grows, so does your ability to take control of your life. You stop waiting for the right circumstances or the approval of others. You become the kind of person who creates opportunities instead of hoping they'll come. When you invest in your skills, your knowledge, and your mindset, you become someone who can adapt to any situation. Success is no longer a distant dream. It's an inevitable outcome of the work you're putting in. But perhaps the most powerful shift that comes from self-focus is the way you begin to value your own time and energy. You realize that not every demand requires your attention, and not every relationship deserves your presence. You learn to say no without guilt, recognizing that protecting your peace is not only necessary but empowering. By setting boundaries, you create space for the things that truly matter. Your energy becomes more intentional, and the results become undeniable. And it's not just your external world that changes, your inner world transforms too. You develop a sense of inner peace that doesn't rely on external circumstances. Even when life gets chaotic, you remain centered because you know your strength comes from within. That level of self-trust allows you to navigate uncertainty with grace. Fear may still whisper in the background, but it no longer controls your decisions. Investing in yourself also means acknowledging that growth is a continuous journey. There is no finish line, no final destination. The person you become today is simply the foundation for the person you'll become tomorrow. Every challenge you overcome, every lesson you learn, and every goal you reach adds another layer to your strength. The process of self-growth is where your true power lies, and the beauty of this journey is that no one can take it away from you. People may doubt you, misunderstand you, or question your choices, but their opinions are irrelevant when you know your worth. The more you invest in yourself, the less you rely on external validation. You stand tall, knowing that your power comes from within. That's what makes you unstoppable. As you walk away from here today, I encourage you to make yourself your biggest priority. Quiet the noise. Tune out the opinions that don't serve you. Measure your progress against the person you were yesterday, not the people around you. Growth isn't about proving yourself to others. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. And every time you choose self-focus over comparison, your mind will grow even stronger. So trust yourself, embrace your journey, and remember, the more you focus on yourself, the more unstoppable you become. Thank you.